up, y'all. I give up on this project. We're calling it good. We are calling it good. So hello, Makeup Void. I'm Trin and welcome back to my channel. I was gonna keep this project until December and I'm giving it the middle finger and we're calling it good now. So this is the finale to my No Pan Left Behind. I know we started this in like June and so we only done it for like 5 months, but I'm really over this project pan. I don't know if I'm gonna do it next year. I'm gonna spend some time recalibrating, thinking about this project, whether or not I want to continue it. So stay tuned for January, or maybe don't stay tuned for January because I don't know if I'm doing this project anymore. So we're gonna call this the finale to this project pan. If you care at all about this I look very dead. That's the whole point. It's Halloween the day I'm filming this, so this is actually what I'm doing for Halloween. So this is my actual Halloween tutorial, which is a whole lot of nothing, but I had a fun time filming it, so stay tuned for later in the week to see how I created this look. Alright, let's go ahead and get rolling. So, calling it quits. I hit No Pan Left Behind on 2 of these palettes, which is impressive because I reviewed 3 palettes in October and there were a lot of days where I just didn't want to do this project. I just really freaking didn't. And I had other tutorial projects that I was doing and I had days where I just did not freaking care at all whatsoever about this project. So that's why we're calling it quits. I'm over it. I don't feel inspired by these palettes. I feel trapped in a box when I do this project. I don't have any coherent thoughts. When I was thinking about this, I just decided a few weeks ago that I'm over it. I just don't want to do this anymore. I feel trapped in a box. I feel not creative whatsoever. I feel like I'm doing forced eyeshadow looks. I'm doing looks like I did years ago where I was trying to use as many shadows in a palette as much as possible to get as much use out of them. I felt no direction. I felt no inspiration. I just don't feel any of that. That's why we're calling it quits on this palette. So let's start off with the 2 palettes that I would be rolling out. I don't have that many pictures of the looks because I didn't do that many looks with these palettes, so stay tuned. So I would roll out the Natasha Denona Pastel palette. I said the goal was to use this 2 times because I could really do this in one look, but I used it 3 times, which was quite impressive for me. So I think I have 3 looks. I don't have 3 looks to show y'all because I brought this with me on vacation. So I think I have 2 looks to I don't know. I have 1 look to show you. I have a minimum of 1 look to show you with this that I really liked. So I really like this palette. It's really cute. It's really fun. I got a lot of enjoyment when I used this palette. Out of the 5 palettes that I used this month, this was my favorite. Second favorite palette that I also roll out. So I had this was in the project for September, rolled it into October. This is the Lethal Evergreen palette. I had so much fun with this palette. Like, if all of my No Pan Left Behind palettes were like this, I'd keep going with this project because I love this so much. Maybe next year I just pick my No Pan Left Behind shadows, or I pick at least one of them so I have some fun with this project, because this month I didn't have any fun with this whatsoever, but I found creating looks with this palette. So I did a look or 2 where I kind of went a little bit rogue, kind of combined a little bit of things. So that's another dislike for this project, is the fact that I feel like I can only use the shadows in the palette, that I can't mix and match because I have to remember what palette I used in that eye look. So that's another big frustrating thing, is that I don't feel like I can mix and match palettes as much as I'd like to. I did mix and match today, but that is rare. But if I was continuing this project and if I could pick out the palettes that I use in a month, then this would have been rolled in December. I'd have so much fun in December with this palette, but we're going into another reason why we're calling it quits on this project. I need to say this now before I forget, is that my low buy goals for this year was to buy 1 palette a month, and I stuck true to that till like August, and then I hit August and everything went downhill and I started buying more and more palettes. So I have a lot of palettes I need to use one more time, at least one more time. till the end of the year, because how I do my eyeshadow palette rankings is that I do one final look with each of the palettes just to kind of refamiliar myself with the palettes before I give one final like review on everything. So I also am ending this project because I need time to play with those palettes. My goal is to do one look with each palette, but there's a few palettes where I'm definitely going to want to do more than one look with them because I love the palette so much. I want to continue playing with them. Another problem with No Pan Left Behind is that I feel like I can't reach for my new babies that I keep bringing in. Because I have a problem with eyeshadow palettes. So I used the Evergreen palette 5 times in the past 2 months. Really enjoyed it. A palette that I love, I just had zero inspiration for, and that's the Natasha Denona Retro palette. I used this palette 3 times? I think it should be 4 times. I really think it's 4 times. So I'm going to say I used this palette 4 times. I didn't take pictures on one of the looks because I forgot, but you will be seeing probably next week, I think. Next week, a low contrast versus high contrast makeup look where I do 2 looks, one low contrast, one high contrast, and I use this palette for the low contrast look. So you'll see a couple pictures. I had a really fun day with this palette. I use kind of these warmer tones, and then I think I used ColourPop Hydro Pump. I think I used Hydro Pump all over the lid, so it was like a cool and warm tone look. So I really enjoyed that combo. That was probably the combo I had the most fun with this palette. Overall, I'm just a one and done shadow girly. At the end of the day, that's my eyeshadow preference, and it's just with No Pan Left Behind, you can't do that. I mean, you can. My arbitrary goal is the least used in 7 times. So theoretically, I could do the same look 7 times, but that's not fun for me. That's not fun to show y'all looks, so I can't really do that. But another favorite look I did was where I took, I think, something, and then I used this as a wing. And it was such a low contrast, high contrast look that I just loved it so much. So I did have a cute fun looks with this palette, but I just only want to reach for this palette when I feel like it. And that was another problem with this palette month, is that my nose keeps running, and it's so freaking annoying. It's so annoying to me, but I also woke up really mad. Like, do you ever just wake up angry? Because I definitely woke up angry today. So I'm feeling a little spicy, a little bit spicy. So with that palette, I really enjoy it. I did have it in Deca Painting earlier this year, so I did get a lot of use out of this palette or that palette throughout the year. So it was a little bit like, I don't really want to bring it into this project. I've given it a lot of love this year compared to like my vast eyeshadow palette collection. So I was like, I don't really feel like using it anymore. So the 2 palettes that are on my eyes today are the Blend Bunny Dollhouse palette and the Huda Beauty Nude Nude. Let's start with Nude Nude. I used this palette 3 times, including today. I don't know if I have 3 looks to show y'all with it. So what I used on the eyes for this look is that I used the glitter, and then I combined these 2 shadows like in my crease that kind of got covered up entirely. But that's what I used out of this palette. I did a pink glitter look. I think I did a softy neutral look. I have no idea. Another problem with this palette and the retro palette is that they're not dupes of each other, but they look close enough, and I do similar enough looks with each of the palettes. It's probably gonna be hard for me to tell the difference between the looks to see like what I use which palette for. So it's just, they're too similar. They're too similar in a month to use. That was the problem with this palette. But I did No Pan Left Behind the glitters. And the glitters are too old to be used ever again. So I'm going to keep this in my collection, but if I do No Pan Left Behind next year, and if I do roll this in next year, I'm going to say minus the glitters because they're dry, it's going to fall over my face today. I just know it. So like even with the glitter primer that I use, I think this is still going to be a lot of fallout. So really enjoy this palette. I enjoy it so much, but it's so old and it makes me not want to use it. But I don't want to put it in my makeup memories box because I do want to use this palette again. It's just not the right time of year. This to me was a very, very Valentine's Day sort of vibes when it comes to this project. It's not very spooky, not very Halloween, so it's just kind of like meh. And then lastly, I'm surprised I used the Dollhouse palette 5 times. Generally, I don't have 5 looks to show you, so, but I'm really surprised that I was able to use this palette 5 times because it's big as my head. It's freaking huge. So in this look, I used a black base, and then I used this shade to set the black, and then I went on this shade for the lower lash line. And I actually went in with the ColourPop Pokemon palette for that like tinge of red down here because I needed like a true red, and that palette just came to mind. So I used 3 palettes for this look, which is totally absurd and totally not normal for me. So I technically used this palette today. Technically. I did a lot of looks where I went a little rogue. I mean, I think there was one day I just used these 2 shadows, and then I used Patron from the Fancy Cosmetica Warlock palette all over the lids, and then people gave me compliments on Patron and then not the mattes. They were like, I really like that green to peak shimmer on your lids. I don't care for the rest of your makeup, but the green to peak shimmer is great. So technically I used it for that. I think this is a great palette for mattes, but the shimmers are okay except for lace. Lace is S tier. Laces. Absolute S tier, like 1 and none eyeshadow. But for me, like, I didn't touch this column at all. I maybe used this column. I don't think I touched this column at all. I know I didn't touch this column. I'm just no. It's not the quality. It's not the okay, the Huda Beauty palette, it's kind of about the quality because if it's so old. I got it like in 2017 or whatever year that palette came out. So I got it back then. So that palette's like, but yeah. That's this project's finale. Very underwhelming. Very much so. So I'm ready to say goodbye to the project. I have no idea if I'm going to do it again next year. Let me know in the comments whether or not you'd like to see this project next year. Let me know because I'm very curious to get y'all's feedback. I need to do something where I rotate through my eyeshadow palettes every month. But I think I need to not do it random. I think I need to do it my way. So like I shop my stash for 5 palettes a month. Like, or 6 or 7 palettes. Just so I can like do my one and done shadow looks, but still use my other palettes in my collection. So I'll have to figure something out. I have 2 months to determine it, but I really have to get going on my eyeshadow ranking video and doing all the looks I need to for that video. I really need to get going on that. And I have 2 more palettes coming. 2 more. So not only do I have to do reviews on 2 more palettes, I might buy a 3rd palette, which fingers crossed I don't, but the Huda Beauty Icy Cold palette is screaming my name. Oh, it's screaming my name. It is so much, but I may or may not pick that up. I also it's like the FOMO of that palette because it's the last Huda Beauty big palette, so I'm experiencing a lot of FOMO. So someone please talk me out of the Huda Beauty Icy Cold palette because I need talking out of that. I really do. So, thank y'all so much for watching today's video. Turn on notifications. The past, like last week and this week, we have 3 videos coming out. Don't get used to that. Don't get used to that. No. We're sticking to 2 videos a week. I can't do 3 videos a week. No. Can't do that. So, as always, have joy and bye.